Today we're going over the 2026 New Year's banner in Fae, which released the trailer super early but is releasing now. 2026 is the year of the horse, so I guess they threw a dart at a board of Fire Emblem Cavaliers and landed on Sedgar. He's crashing the Book 9 party, which has ults for Heimdallr, Vali, and a duo of Baldr/Hodr. We'll go over everyone's stats and skills, plus discuss general playstyle and build ideas. The Tempest unit, the 4-star focus unit is Years Sedgar. He's available at 4 or 5-star rarity. Years Sedgar is a colorless bow cavalier. Will 2026 be the year we get a red bow cav? Probably not. For stats, Sedgar's got 41 HP, 46 attack, 48 speed, 31 defense, and 24 res. He's got speed plus res super boons, and Sedgar's got a pretty standard offensive stat spread. For ult skills, Sedgar has attack and speed catch 3 and reposition. He'll need reposition to activate his rare ult skill, speed and defense detect. Only ever released on Duo Ninja Lucina, detect requires a movement assist and inflicts exposure on the closest foe within 5 spaces. The skill then detects anyone with exposure, and they get inflicted with -5 speed and defense and neutralize speed and defense field buffs. To synergize with his base kit, Sedgar has the Horsebow Plus. For foes within 3 rows or columns, inflict -5 attack, speed, defense, and res. Those foes take 10 true damage, and their non-special % skills are reduced by 50%. For the Horsebow user, they get 20 true damage and 10 flat DR for all attacks. This weapon is very similar to Zelkon's Inheritable Dagger, just that it has Crook's range debuffs. It's also just a weaker version of Ignat's bow. We didn't get too many Inheritable bows last year, so Horsebow is pretty darn good. The user basically gets 30 true damage without doing anything, and it's a partial support weapon, which is nice. Not sure when we'll see a 4th gen arcane bow, but if you want to summon, then this should be a decent offensive weapon. Sedgar's base kit is decent in that Horsebow's long range debuffs stack with detect's effects. If Sedgar repositions an ally forward, then enemies could lose -10 speed and defense, take 20 true damage, and then get hit with 50% piercing. To further support the team, Sedgar can slot in Insight Hone for field buffs and extra stats. The main downside is that Sedgar lacks Kanto to move around after, unless you can use Fortress Echo or Emblem Sigurd's Ring. For a combative build, Horsebow can be used with skills like Slice with Sparrow for a free follow-up, or Odds Be Wave for no follow-up and speed buffs. Execution Breath or Arc 4th Breath can give Breath Tech cooldown, which is really nice for ranged cows. You can stack instant damage with Flared Sparrow and Execution Breath. For other weapons, Arcane Hexbow will not grant as much true damage nor flat DR as Horsebow, but you can get up to +9 more stats, Slaying, and Preempt Pulse. That would allow Sedgar to instantly proc Curved Shot, or if you want to charge up the 5 cooldown Arch Rival, then it'll be a good bit easier. You can also use the newer Hone Assault to get back your 50% DR piercing. Personally, besides arcane bows, I would keep Horsebow unless you want to try a Ninja Brave bow or the old Whitecap bow. Kinda hard to top 30 true damage. Overall, Years Sedgar is an okay non-5-star unit, but besides the higher BST, you could also use like Festival Takumi for a similar free offensive bow cav. To be honest, it might take a while till we see another heroic bow cavalier. Our next unit is Years Heimdallr. She's a green mage cavalier this time, but is mostly the same as her mythic form. For stats, Heimdallr has 41 HP, 49 attack, 16 speed, 30 defense, and 49 res. She has a res super boon. For ult skills, Heimdallr has Ice Wall again, Takam as Arya again, and her unique B skill, an Open Book again. As a refresher, an Open Book inflicts exposure, discord, and stall on grouped up foes with lower res than Heimdallr. She gets Fortress for Kanto, a Fall of Denial, Guard, 20% res true damage / flat DR, and then -1 instant cooldown or Preempt Pulse. For her New Year's ult weapon, it's Years Fan. The Force Knight Snare effect is the exact same as the mythic ults, just that now you can abuse this in any season. Basically, Force Knight Snare will apply to the ally closest to the enemy, and that will end the action of the first attacking enemy. It will disable after the first round of combat though. For new effects, for foes within 3 rows or columns, Heimdallr inflicts -5 attack, defense, and res. If they use an offensive special and you don't have 40 res at start of battle, they get inflicted with Scowls +1 cooldown before their first attack. For Heimdallr herself, she gets Slaying and gets +11 attack, defense, and res in combat. She does 25 true damage, gets 15 flat DR, and gets instant cooldown equal to the number of negative status effects on the foe with a max of 2. Heimdallr has a new Scowl effect, which just checks if the foe has 40 res before battle. Instead of free cooldown every turn, Heimdallr will use the statuses from her B skill to get -2 instant cooldown each fight. Heimdallr's one new inheritable skill is Attack and Res Liberate. At start of either phase, grant Attack Liberate and Res Liberate to unit and the ally closest to an enemy for 1 turn. The user gets +4 attack and res in combat. Anyone with Attack or Res Liberate will then get bonus true damage equal to 5 plus the number of positive status effects active on the unit. If you were to have 5 positive statuses, you can get up to 10 true damage max. As for what these Liberate statuses do, they grant bonus attack or bonus res during combat equal to 4, plus the number of positive statuses on the unit. If you have 4 statuses, you get up to plus 8 attack or plus 8 res. Liberate is a new Cavalier skill that builds out of the Gap C skills. Liberate is basically the buff and counterpart to Shackle's debuffs. The stat boost for the status is similar, the true damage is different though. Shackle only gives the user true damage, but Liberate shares it with anyone who got these statuses. Besides the user, like Gap skills, Liberate will usually only apply to one other ally, and that's the ally closest to the enemy frontline. Interesting skill for in-combat buffs / true damage, although Mythic Loki could follow this plan if she neutralizes those statuses. In general, Years Heimdallr keeps her same Foresight Snare and B skill debuffs, just being able to use it in any season. Heimdallr does add scout support against low res foes. With exposure and the new Liberate C skill, the Foresight Snare ally could get 20 true damage plus other stat advantages. Now, assuming foes stay penalized, Heimdallr will pre-charge Ice Wall every fight, and she can stack a ton of true damage from all her skills to go for the one-shot KO. If you want, she could use Logic since it gives its own -1 cooldown if the foe has statuses. The 40% DR would work for multiple hits, but can Heimdallr survive getting doubled, plus Logic's DR is player phase only. For full DR piercing, you could just use Frost Moon instead, or you could just go back and get her original Hone Assault C skill. Now for other skills, Heimdallr's B skill debuffs do a flat res check, so you still want to run something like Still Water or Crystalline Water if you want to ensure exposure, discord, and stall land. If you want to follow up, you can use Slime Mirror, and Shadow C skills could help reposition allies around. All in all, Years Heimdallr is largely the same, aka Foresight Snare is still not fun to run into. If you got a strong frontliner, Liberate will now just further empower them. Our third unit is Years Vali. It's been a long month since her mythic debut. Like Heimdallr, Vali did not change much. For this ult, she's a red flying mage with 45 HP, 49 attack, 48 speed, 26 defense, and 21 res. She has an attack super boon. For ult skills, Vali has attack and speed Arya again, speed and res Shackle again, and Invincible Sister again, Well, as a refresher, Invincible Sister is a unique miracle special that pre-charges every phase and full heals Vali. It also counters Archrival's special uncharging effect. Now, the first time it triggers in a turn, Vali will reduce all damage in the fight to 0, and after she recharges the special and gains plus 10 greater talent, attack, and speed. If Vali was initiating, she gets to go again to take her revenge and gains a ton of true damage for her follow-up attack. Now, Years Vali's weapon is Sister Hergoita. The majority of the weapon is the same, including the 3 space buffing aura for plus 5 attack and speed, distant or close counter support, and then Vali shares Miracle with an ally once per map. If she uses that Miracle, the ally will heal 40 HP and get 10 great talent, attack, and speed too. Vali herself has out shield, she gets plus 2 flat speed and has close counter. A new effect is that she now has Fortress 4 Kanto. In battle, Vali gets plus 15 stats. The full low effect, true damage equal to 15 plus her total great talent, attack, and speed stats, and 15 flat DR for first attacks. Last, Vali has exchanged her DR piercing for full up follow-up instead. Besides Kanto and a follow-up, Vali retains the same traits as before. She's going to be tough to KO due to her special, and Vali shares Miracle plus distant or close counter with her team as well. Now since Vali has no follow-up, she has a new C skill called Uplift Imbue, attack and speed. For unit allies within 3 rows or columns, gain plus 5 attack and speed, reduce damage from the first attacks by 5, reduce anti-healing effects by 50%, and restore 40% max HP as combat begins. Uplift is a buffing flyer skill with the Crux range, and it builds out of the Spur attack and speed 2, which is pretty easy to find. For this Imbue version, you pretty much get the entire Imbue status. Unlike Breath of Life, there's no defense comparing, and this skill extends across the map, so arguably a stronger Breath of Life option for flyers. As a reminder, even though the description states it reduces deep wounds, Faye basically extends this to any Fatal Smoke type anti-healing effect. It's not really a great explanation. Years Vali's playstyle is mostly the same with her Miracle / counterattack support for allies. If you initiate on Vali, unless you can uncharge Invincible Sister somehow, you need to at least a second round of combat to actually take her out. Even then, in the next fight, Vali heals 40 HP, she has Imbue for more healing, and Invincible Sister recharges to still act like Miracle. Things like Potent or Patience can finish Vali off, but she gets stronger with great talent, and her fall gets a ton of true damage if you get double. If Vali is initiating, she gets to use all these things plus an extra action, so she could also just snipe someone else instead. Vali's base kit is fine since its effects work on either phase. Uplift Imbue is mainly here to get guaranteed healing, so Miracle doesn't get cheesed by things like AoE specials. Now if you want to make some changes, you could go for player phase skills like Flared Sparrow or Delirium Asthma to knock out enemy Divine Veins. Conjuring Breath can be used if you have a Shackle ally. Anti-healing on Vali herself would be also kinda mean. For other skills, you could dip into support effects like Fire Mobility Warping, Vali can frontline then warp her allies ahead. She can also use the new Strand Assault to get True Charge and 3 movement. Overall, Years Vali, like Heimdallr, is mainly here just to be used in any season, so have fun with that. Time to get revenge for 2025. Our last unit is Years Duo Baldr and Hodr. Baldr is a Lance Flyer this time with 41 HP, 48 attack, 49 speed, 34 defense, and 20 resistance. She has a speed super boon. For old skills, Baldr has Arch Rival and gets Shadow Shift 4 to move allies around. As a slightly older unit, Baldr and Hodr at least get more changes. Unlike their mythic forms, there's no safety fence destroying mechanics. For their weapon, Godly Devices, for foes within 3 rows or columns, inflict -5 stats and inflict more debuffs equal to the current field buff on each of those foes' stats times 2. Last, those foes suffer 50% DR piercing. For Baldr herself, she has Slaying and Eldritch Shield. Baldr gets +10 stats in combat, she does 25 true damage and has no guard. She retains her previous Excel flat DR mechanics. If Baldr has Weapon Triangle with disadvantage, she gets flat DR equal to 20% speed. If not, then she gets 50% speed scaling instead. Besides Baldr potentially getting 100% speed as flat DR versus specials, the other big effect in her weapon is the Crux range support. On top of the -5 stats, Baldr turns field boss against the foe. Her mythic form converted field boss into debuffs, while Duo sort of has the in-combat panic effect. The idea is very similar, just different execution. As for the DR piercing, that comes from Hodr just as a drive effect instead of a status this time. Like Brave Baldr, Duo gets a weapon triangle style. Instead of green style, Duo Baldr gets red style, aka she counts as a red unit for weapon triangle effects. This means if you initiate, you can now get an advantageous matchup versus green foes, completely turning the weapon triangle around. This helps Arch Rival, and Baldr gets her 50% speed scaling flat DR too. I guess we know what color style combo the next Baldr alt will come with. Also, like Brave Baldr, Duo gets her unique A skill with tweaks. At start of turn, inflict Triangle Depth and Exposure on the closest foe. Enables counter distance +1 with a max of 4. Grants +9 stats in combat, 7 true damage, 7 flat DR, and Fall Up. Last, if the exposure is on the foe, Baldr has Weapon Triangle advantage, or if the foe initiates, Baldr gets Brave attacks. Heaven's Stead End is mostly the same, but we got rid of the activation conditions cause that's like Book 10's whole deal. Baldr gets a really good counter effect, and unlike before, she now always gets Brave hits on the enemy phase. When initiating, you still need to land exposure or face red/green foes. Keep in mind, Triangle Adept affects matchups for all allies, so this can be a double-edged sword. That is, unless you use Baldr's dual skill. This skill neutralizes all penalties and grants +6 field buffs, fringe bonus, and cancel affinity to Baldr and allies within 3 spaces. Hodr's penalty cleansing gets upgraded to a full cleanse, and her bonus doubler status is better since it borrows from allies. You also get full field buffs to immediately take advantage. As for Cancel Affinity, this is going to neutralize any bad matchups the Triangle Depth status may have enabled. Basically, instead of facing like -40 attack when disadvantage, you now get no attack changes. It's a rare but fun interaction. Please keep in mind that since Baldr has a style, you cannot access this dual skill until Baldr uses the style, or you just end her turn. This does weaken Baldr herself, since she can't cleanse then attack. You can help allies out first, then get danced to then use the style after, but obviously that's just more involved. For Baldr's new inheritable B skill, she comes with Heavenly Soar. This is effectively a defensive side grade to air superiority. Like that skill, you get Pass and built-in Emblem Celica's Ring, which lets you warp to the nearest spot if it falls within 5 spaces. You inflict -4 attack speed and defense and get true damage equal to the greater of 20% speed or defense. Instead of Potent, Heavenly Sword grants defensive tempo, which utilizes extra special charging like Blade or Breath type cooldown skills. You also get Flat DR equal to the greater of 20% speed or defense. This is once again only for Sword, Lance, and Axe flyers. If you don't need Potent or you prefer better survivability, then Heavenly Sword is the pick over air superiority. Since the scaling works with speed or defense, you could run these skills on slower bulkier wyverns if you wanted. In terms of playstyle, Baldr retains the general idea of a Brave Vault where she can swap colors if needed, and then get Brave attacks. With Weapon Triangle Advantage, Baldr gets Arch Rival's cooldown perks, which although you still need Blade or Breath type cooldown to trigger it on the second Brave hit. In terms of tanking, Baldr can use her unpierceable 40% DR, and then just get a ton of flat DR from her 50% speed scaling weapon, with another 20% via Heavenly Soar. You then get an extra 7 flat DR from her A skill. Baldr will also have Guard, Archrival's special on charging and defensive tempo to deny enemy specials. After warping in with Heavenly Soar, Baldr has counter distance to retreat and then Shadow Shift an ally around. After taking her turn, you can also use the dual skill for more team buffs, including Cancel Affinity, to neutralize Triangle Adept's bad matchups. For other skills, you can use Air Superiority if you want a potent hit versus better tanking power. Execution Breath can give cooldown. There were more ways to get around with Air Orders 4, Hold Guide, or Strat Assault. Baldr is made to abuse Archrival, but you could use it with things like Gale Force Mist or Celestial Form if you really want. As for Sacred Seals, Baldr can use the brand new Blue Skies 3 seal. Potent into Blue Skies is pretty crazy. You get +6 attack and speed and up to 6 true damage and flat DR. Sounds good to me, although Baldr can also use Potent 3 here too. For other general survivability, you can use Squad Ace for extra HP plus stats. All in all, Duo Baldr kinda has a lot going on, but she's still similar to her 2 other forms. You can make some interesting plays with her dual skill, but it is locked behind the style, which does limit your options. That will be it for the first banner of 2026. The next one is literally in a couple days. Now, if you haven't seen the news, Tempest Trials is changing, and not necessarily for the better. The cool thing is that you can get a free Years Ashe as part of the rewards. The bad news is that she's replacing the Tempest Trials Heroic Grail unit. Unless something changes, we are no longer getting any more new Tempest Trials units. You can merge to +10. You can get 1 copy of an older unit like Ashe, and then you can pick up 2 more copies as Heroic Grails. As much as I like the free old 5-star unit, there's no way you can really sell this as a positive change. Our amount of Heroic Grail +10 merge projects just got slashed in half, and say goodbye to any good inheritable weapons because the Grand Hero Battalions sure as heck do not get useful inheritables. Personally, I don't think I'm going to make a video on the Tempest Trials. I could talk about Ashe and updating her build, but the whole situation's so lame that I'm not really interested. I like to go over the new Sacred Seals, but 90% of the reason I make that video is just to talk about the new Heroic Grail unit. Considering it is New Year's, I think we're gonna go pass out from a food coma. I will think about what to do for future Tempest Trials, but as things stand, I'm not really inspired to talk about things I don't really like. Faye has changed course on things before, so if you do not like the new Tempest Trials rewards, then be sure to send feedback in-game. Thank you for understanding, have a happy New Year's. I prefer not to be a downer during the holiday season, so I'm gonna go celebrate with good food. See you in the next video.